What is your definition of success?
My definition of success is being obedient to what you feel like your purpose in life is.
Success really is doing what God has called you to do, fulfilling His will for your life. It may look like failure at times. I suppose to Moses, when he was leading the children of Israel, there were times where he was sure it looked like failure, particularly when they were wanting to go back to bondage because they thought it was better. But Moses had to know that he was doing exactly what God had called him to do, and that's success.
Success for me is doing what I want to do in my life and succeeding at it, being happy doing it, and providing for my family doing it.
Matt Robertson. I am the Student Ministry Director here at Trinity Church in Cedar Hill, Texas. I've been doing this in this official position for probably about 10 months, 8 to 10 months.
I'm Regina Johnston. I direct women's ministries in the North Texas District, and I've served in that position. It'll be 3 years in May.
My name is Larry Click. I'm the owner of an auto damage appraisal business, customers primarily insurance companies, but also municipalities and self-insureds and that kind of business.
And for how long have you been in the business?
37 years.
What is your responsibility as a leader, being in charge of other people who are also trying to pursue their goals at the same time?
Well, currently I have the responsibility of managing both the high school and the junior high. And so basically, essentially what that means is we have specific goals, we have a vision that we have to meet. And what I do is I sit down at the beginning of each year and I set goals and I set targets for where I want to be at the end of that year. And I think success comes when you begin to build your life around goals and those targets, and you begin to meet those objectives to help you be successful for your goals and your personal vision. So,
in my particular position, my responsibility is to come alongside and partner with local church women's ministries and to hopefully cast vision and bring an awakening to the local church group of women in such a way that they are impacting their community, especially in the area of women's ministries for Christ.
The first and most important part of it is to secure quality employees that know the business and have integrity. I say that maybe backwards because I have an employee that's probably not the best in the world at what he does, but he has absolute integrity. I know when he says he'll do something, he'll do it, and I know when he tells me something, it's always the truth.
So how did you get into leadership, and how did you get into owning a business when you first started off?
38 years ago, my dad was a body shop manager at a body shop, and an insurance company called him and asked him, said they were going to start using independent appraisers. Would he be interested? And he talked to me about it, and I said, yeah, you ought to go for it. Within a month, or maybe a little less, he called me and said, this is a whole lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, and I know you're not real happy what you're doing. Would you be interested in joining me and helping me get this business going? And I said, let me pray about it. Okay, I prayed about it, you bet.
Well, I was faithful to the things that God had called me to in our local church, and served in women's ministries there for a while, and just so happened that I was called as part of a team to pick a new leader for the North Texas District. And in serving on that team, several of my team members suggested that I should be the one to take the position, and then the executive who was over that team also began to feel the same way. And so the leadership position then was offered to me, and I was Moses at the burning bush, I guess, for a while, arguing why someone else would do a better job. But ultimately, I just stepped into it. But leadership is heavy, so you've got to know that God has called you.
What did you want to be when you grew up? And did you see yourself in this position when you were making your goals as a child and young adult? And also with that, what advice would you give to someone who is kind of scared to kind of leave their path of, oh, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life type thing?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Did I see myself here? What did I imagine myself being as I got older? Let me tell you, I imagined myself being in the military. My dad was in the military, and so I imagined myself doing something with computers in the military on some level. That didn't pan out at all. In fact, my senior year in high school, I got called to the ministry at a youth camp. I felt like God was calling me to missions. And so I left all the military stuff. I left it all behind. I immediately went to SouthWestern. Shout out to SouthWestern, SAGOOP. And I started as a missions major, and then I graduated kind of from that into more of a youth ministry type feel. And so my calling in life changed, or my purpose, or how I was going to work out my calling changed and gravitated over. I would just say, my encouragement to anyone would say, don't look at it as a detour from your calling. Look at it as an opportunity to pick up additional talents and giftings and tools for you to be successful wherever you go.
Well, I wanted to be a singer. I didn't see myself where I was today. I've always felt like the Holy Spirit was pushing me beyond my ability. But I think that happens because you then know you need God. I would say sometimes our original plans and goals are just that. Our original plans and goals, and maybe they're not well thought out, or maybe they're not where God ultimately wants to take us. I don't believe we dream as big as we should, and God's dreams for us are larger. And so generally, God will take us beyond what we originally dreamed. So I would say trust Him.
Challenges of leadership, it can be a lonely place. As the leader, a lot of times you have to say things that aren't popular. You have to challenge people when they don't want to be challenged. As a leader, you're always attempting to pull people to live and exist at a different level, and not everybody's excited about that. And so that's a challenge. It's a challenge to turn the culture, because as a leader, it's your responsibility to steer and to create culture, not only for this, in my specific role, for the services that we have on Wednesday nights, but also for your staff and for your leadership team. And so that's always a challenge.
What are some challenges of leadership?
Well, it's heavy. I mean, people are watching you, and oftentimes people don't agree with some of the decisions you make, and sometimes you're not liked, and but at the same time, there's great reward. So you just kind of have to stand when you've done all to stand and know that God is with you and trust Him in the process.
Almost all of the real challenges in leadership revolve around people. Dealing with employees, being fair with them, being firm with them, but still being able to encourage them to want to do what we need to do to be successful. And with customers, one of my favorite things to respond to that people say to me is, it must be really great being your own boss. Well, the fact is, I've got lots of bosses. Every customer I have is my boss. Being in business for yourself to be your own boss is vastly overrated. It does obviously give you some latitude in what you do and how you do it, but ultimately your customer has to be your boss.
What are some rewards of leadership?
Seeing other people succeed. Probably the greatest thing for me is to see employees succeed. People being able to provide a payroll for a number of people, and just the satisfaction that, I get people asking me all the time, when are you going to retire? My stock answer generally is there's too many people that depend upon me for a paycheck every week to retire. I see too many people my age and older retire, and 2 or 3 years later they're dead. I'm not interested in dying anytime soon, so I'm just going to keep working.
Well, for me personally, in women's ministries, when I see local women's ministry groups understand what they can do to impact their community and then begin to do that, or when I see even an individual woman understand that she is called by God and has great purpose and she steps into that, that's huge reward.
And a couple rewards of leadership?
There are no rewards for leadership. No, the reward is the moment when everything comes together. It's the moment when the teaching you've been doing with your leaders connects with your push to get students to come on a Wednesday night, for your push to see a spiritual dynamic on your Wednesday night services. It happens when all of a sudden your kids are crying on the shoulders of your leaders, and you can see that your leaders are engaged with the students. So everything that you've been pushing and driving for, and it all feels so separated, it all feels so like it's never going to happen. There'll be a moment where everything will come together all at one time, and you'll realize, yeah, that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been sacrificing my time for. That's what I've been believing for. That's what I've been praying for, and it all comes together.
If you could share a slice of cake with one other successful leader, who would it be and why?
Well, I know that many people would probably laugh at this. It should be somebody, like Corrie ten Boom, or somebody in history. But I guess really, I would want to maybe sit down with Beth Moore. To me, she is a woman who's not perfect, but she's grown in God, and she studies the Word, and it makes an impact in her life, and she allows that Word to make an impact in other people's lives. So I would like to hear her one-on-one talk about the Word.
If you have anything else to say, you definitely can. This is kind of just random. If you could share a slice of cake with one other successful leader or business owner or CEO, entrepreneur, anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
One of two people, Michael Dell or Bill Gates. Because, and this may sound very self-serving, but in a lot of ways they're like me. They were in college, but neither one of them finished college. They had a dream, they had an idea, and they went with it. And I guess I say all that to say, don't be afraid to try something. It may not be the right thing, but there's always something else down the road.
Okay.
You can do it, and you can.